Curaçao are one of, if not the worst nation in this year's World Cup, so it would be obscene to think that they could actually go on and lift the trophy, right? Well, with the official FM26 World Cup mode out, I thought I'd give it a try. They are currently ranked 84th in the world, on par with fellow World Cup qualifiers Haiti from North America too. So that's where the World Cup Wheel of Advantages comes in. I will be able to spin this wheel once before every single match in the competition. However, I still don't think this might be enough. So I'm going to give myself 3 lives where I can restart a match. And I can only gain an extra life through the wheel, where it only gives me one option, which will then be removed. Curaçao's star player is Chirino, a defender who plays for Almeria in the Spanish second tier. They also have a fairly decent striker in Locadia who plays in Miami and once played for Brighton in the Premier League. They also have Tahi Chong, who used to play for Manchester United and is still in the Championship with Sheffield United. Looking at their squad, I think they really do suit a 5 at the back system, as they have 3 really good centre backs, which is ideal given that they are in Group E with Germany, Ivory Coast and Ecuador, and have Germany to play first. Preparation for the World Cup didn't go too well when we lost 1-0 to fellow lowest ranked nation Haiti in our last friendly, and that's actually put us down in the rankings before the World Cup even begins. With our final squad announced, it's time to begin our journey as we take on Germany in our first fixture of the World Cup. Of course, we have to spin the World Cup Wheel of Advantages first to see what we can do in this match against Germany. Obviously, we've got 3 matches to qualify, and the first wheel spin gives us a striker of up to 180 current ability. Given that Locadia is only at 118 to begin with, that's a huge first wheel spin. So we've made some alterations. We now have a player of 180 current ability for Jurgen Locadia, and you can see it's a massive upgrade. I've put a lot into the physical attributes, but I made sure I spread them across both mental and technicals and didn't abuse the pace too much. He's still a world-class striker though. And we are going to need this because Germany are full of world-class players, and having just one on our side doesn't exactly make us favourites in this match either way. Nobody in Curaçao's wildest dreams expected to compete with Germany, but Chong played through Locadia, whose newfound abilities was able to beat the offside trap, scoring a goal. The lead didn't last long, however, as Florian Wirtz smashed home a beautiful equaliser, and from then Germany took control, scoring a second before half-time with patient play in possession, which led to Wirtz scoring another beautiful goal on the 40th minute. A third and final German goal sealed their win after the opening scare from a corner. There were still positives to take despite the defeat, and in the other Group E fixture, Ecuador won by the same result, and in the other group, Sweden just won 6-0 against Tunisia, with Gyökeres scoring 5 goals. It is another chance though, before we play Ecuador ourselves, to spin the wheel again. Now the striker to 108 current ability stays on there, because technically it could be a disadvantage now. We don't want too many strikers who are good, and we kind of don't want this either. Add an extra life. So we've now got 4 lives, but our team is still just as bad as what it was when we played Germany. Either way, we have to get a result against Ecuador, or else qualification might not happen at all. And although they aren't Germany, they do have some very talented players. We just gotta hope that luck is on our side so we don't have to use one of our lives already, and our world-class striker can make an impact. We started the better team and created a number of chances from set pieces, and even had a goal-bound strike by Chong deflected wide for another corner. Chance after chance was coming to us after the first 20 minutes, as Chong again gets a strike off but can't quite hit the target. Then finally, the breakthrough, as a great ball over the top down the left-hand side is then played to Gore, who makes a great run, but finds a bit of space, and the finish is even better. A shot through a crowd of players, and it's 1-0 to Curaçao in Group E. This seemed to wake Ecuador up though, as right away they threatened from kickoff down our right-hand side. Immediately again though, we wasted a golden chance to make it 2-0 after such a mazy run just before half-time. And with Germany already beating the Ivory Coast in the earlier fixture of the day, we really needed to win this one to put our names in contention and stop the Ivory Coast. With our lead hanging in the balance of just a 1-0 advantage, we needed everyone to chip in and work hard, including our goalkeeper, who pulled off a wonderful save at the start of the second half. Ecuador had us pinned and chasing shadows until we finally won the ball back, and that magical combination of Chong finding the run of Locadia was just what I wanted to see. It was a fantastic second goal, which takes the pressure off slightly as we enter the final third of the match. Ecuador never stopped trying though, and forced another brilliant save of our keeper Room, but a third goal completely sealed the vital 3 points, which looked originally to be Locadia's, but turned out to be an own goal. There was still time for drama, as in the 96th minute, a penalty was awarded to Ecuador, and their veteran striker Enner Valencia dispatched to make the scoreline a little closer. But is all that is done as we take second spot in Group E. To make sure we give ourselves the best opportunity, however, against the Ivory Coast, who have yet to pick up a point, but still, I think, have a better team than us, we need to spin the wheel again. And of course, the lifeline that we did have on the wheel has now gone, which means we could pick up quite a nice pick with whatever we have left. Please give us something. Now, it's not amazing because goalkeeper to 108 is fantastic, but you've seen in the last game, our goalkeeper was arguably man of the match. The 37-year-old goalkeeper held his own and pulled off some fantastic saves, especially considering his current ability of only 107. But now Eloy Room is new and improved, 180 current ability, and you can see it's definitely made a big difference. The agility alone, I think, was only down at 11, so that was something that we really needed to boost. But I've made sure I've got all of the good goalkeeping necessities. The rest, I think, is just, you know, a bit of fluff, passing, etc. We don't necessarily need that. He's got good kicking ability. He can reach the ball quite well. Let's hope it makes a massive difference in this next game. With the right wing back suspended after picking up 2 yellow cards, there was a couple of changes to the lineup, but we face a very talented Ivory Coast side with everything to play for in this final group fixture in Group E. Nerves were beginning to kick in. The game didn't come alive until the second half, and Ivory Coast did have the better of the ball. However, when we finally got a bit of quality out wide, the ball was played back in the box and there were bodies everywhere, where one of them was Chong, who smashed in a shot into the top corner. Just 4 minutes later, however, our qualification hung in the balance as news of Ecuador winning against Germany was followed by an equalising goal by the Ivory Coast, setting up a big final 30 minutes. But we didn't need 30 minutes, we just needed one, as Hansen then scored from kickoff, which sealed our second win. And we celebrated qualification and results against each other only over Ecuador. They did qualify anyway through one of the top performing teams finishing in third place, but have England next, whereas we are set to face Norway. It's only the second round and we've now got to play one of the best players in the world. We need some protection. Face pack, stadium packs, we're all trying to download the latest FM26 mods, but remember, it's always important to stay protected when you're searching the web. And NordVPN is the easiest way to do this to make sure that your IP address is protected while you're on these websites. With just one click of the button, you can change your digital location right from where you are at home or any location on the planet, which of course gives you added extra benefits of getting around certain websites which are now asking for personal identification to browse online. But NordVPN does way more, including the threat protection feature, which works as an antivirus tool, blocking scams and phishing attacks, as well as preventing websites from tracking or stealing your information. And for me, in a week period alone, NordVPN blocked 352 ads across 500 websites from collecting my data. And just like everything with Nord, it's super easy to toggle this protection on, as well as see the different websites that it's blocked. NordVPN can also constantly monitor the dark web for up to 5 email addresses to ensure that you don't have your password leaked as well. But of course, the fun part of NordVPN is being able to watch regional-based content from wherever you are in the world. For example, The Pit is a TV show me and my partner absolutely loved, but in the US, they released all of the episodes, and in the UK, we were only up to episode 3. Did you know what I did? I use NordVPN. And you may be surprised as the value for money that you can get with NordVPN when you select a 2-year plan. But with my link, that's going to be at the top of the description or in the pinned comment, or of course, just go into nordvpn.com/megalootgaming. You get yourself an extra 4 months on top of a 2-year plan. Well worth doing to make sure that you're protected when you're browsing online, as well as, of course, all the added benefits that you get from NordVPN. Norway progressed through a difficult group themselves, in second place only behind France and Erling Haaland, who was on form, scoring 3 goals in 3 games, including 2 in the opening fixture against Iraq and 1 against France. And the wheel spin before the Norway fixture was having jokes with me, as it landed on setting up another striker to 180 current ability. Now so far we have been rocking with a 3-4-3 with just 1 striker, and our second striker hasn't exactly featured, but is a 6'4" striker who could be used as a target forward, but has the current ability of only 106. So when I increased him to 180, I leaned into that, creating a perfect strong target forward attacker for Curaçao. And so I also altered the tactic to utilize Janga for the upcoming match. With two world-class strikers now, I still don't consider us favourites for the match against a very talented Norwegian side. Could this be where we use one of our 4 lives? With a very poor defence and midfield compared to the attack and midfield of Norway, I was expecting to get overrun. However, within 2 minutes, we found a breakaway down the right, and Sambo, back from suspension, puts in a beautiful cross that Locadia can only header onto the bar. If only Janga got his head onto it instead. Norway had a chance of their own though through you-know-who soon after, who also headed over the bar. Then disaster as Erling Haaland is brought down in the box and the VAR check confirms it's a penalty. The big Norwegian steps up to take it himself as well, but our new world-class goalkeeper Room makes a fantastic save. So with the score still at 0-0 and only 20 minutes on the clock, we needed to make the next opportunity count, and that's exactly what happened when Locadia got on the end of a second fantastic cross from the right-hand side. And the stadium full of Norwegians fell silent as they couldn't quite believe they are now behind. Things went from bad to worse for Haaland's men though, as yet another chance down the right and Hansen brilliantly pulled it back and finished off the rebound. There are a lot of shouts for being offside however, and it does look close upon review by VAR, but the goal still stands. And when the replay is shown, you can clearly see he is onside. This woke the Norwegians up, and they started to dominate the ball for the remainder of the first half, creating a huge chance pulled back to Ødegaard, who scored a wonderful goal off the post. A World Cup worthy goal, and it's now getting interesting at 2-1. Second half kicks off in Dallas and it's quiet for the first 15 minutes until a corner is cleared only to Hansen, who is having a phenomenal game and smashes in a Curaçao third. And it's the players who haven't been given a boost who are changing our fortunes in the second round knockouts. Hansen then decided he wanted to make an even bigger statement and found the run of Leandro Bacuna, who fired in a fourth. 4 subs were made and all our big hitters including Hansen came off, but the subs that came on then combined for a 5th. I genuinely don't know what's happening here. I don't quite know how this Curaçao side is doing it, but we are absolutely dominating Norway. Hansen, rightly so, won man of the match, who usually applies his trade at Middlesbrough in the Championship. A shock win in some ways as we progress through where other shocks happened as Sweden eliminated Brazil and Ecuador knocked out England, which is a massive stroke of fortune for us as we have to play Sweden next, which means we avoided Brazil. Where we aren't so lucky is the wheel spin, as what was funny last time is not so funny this time as we once again land on buffing our final striker, this being Nigel Roberta, who is only at a 97 current ability and not very good. And we transform this legit free agent into a world-class player ready to make an impact for the first team in this World Cup. I didn't cheat and stick him out on that right wing, especially because Hansen deserves his spot, but we have 4 lives still to use, as well as the lifeline of bringing him off the bench should things go wrong against the Swedish team, who are the surprise of the World Cup so far. Unlike the Norway game, this was a much quieter start, but eventually, just 16 minutes in, the attack down our left-hand side found its way to the on-running Leandro Bacuna, who fired in another vital goal this World Cup. The Bacuna brothers in midfield were playing excellent, and this right-hand side of Hansen and Sambo once again made a big impact as another cross was headed in by Locadia. The linesman had his flag up though, although it never looked offside, and thankfully VAR confirmed he was wrong, and it was now 2-0 to Curaçao. Sweden finally got a half chance, but Isak couldn't pull off the header. And then before the 30th minute mark, Juninho Bacuna found the back of the net, and it's 3-0 to Curaçao. Janga really should have made it 4 just minutes later as his shot was dragged wide. And I cannot believe he's missed that after breaking through the defence so well. He did make up for it soon after, as his run allowed us to score a 4 through Hansen. A 5th nearly followed, and we are playing like prime Brazil from the 1970s. Albeit with just 29% possession at half-time, an extraordinary game for Curaçao. We made 4 changes in the second half, although it was later than the 3 subs that Sweden made at half-time. The flow of the game remained, and we got cocky, and a Rabona cross led to a cutback and a 5th goal for Curaçao. Isak finally got the Swedes on the score sheet in the 89th minute, but something tells me it's too little, too late. And in a wild round of 16, more huge departures as Germany is knocked out by France, host USA defeated Belgium, Belgium, and Switzerland have knocked out Portugal. The quarter-final draw also was in our favour too, as the last two big nations, France and the Netherlands, would have to play each other, and we were against Scotland. It almost doesn't seem fair to spin the wheel, seeing as our players are still playing fantastically regardless of previous upgrades, but we finally get to buff a midfielder. The two Bakuna brothers have been brilliant so far in this tournament and playing already like elite players. Juninho is the highest out of the two in current ability, but it is really close. The change to 180 transforms him into a staggeringly great all-round midfielder that will hopefully carry Curaçao to World Cup glory. The shock results kept coming in what turned out to be the weirdest World Cup ever, as the Netherlands knocked out France 2-1 and Algeria destroys the host the USA 3-0 the day before we were set to face Scotland. Our stars of formation matched the Scots too, and they should not be underestimated with some talented players such as McTominay, of course, as this World Cup quarter-final commenced. And straight away, we were under the cosh. As from a corner, the ball was played back out wide and eventually a shot flashed across the face of our net. We were then the first team to find a ball in between the two posts, however Locadia was so far offside there was no point of a VAR check. And the game rode on through to half-time at 0-0. Our winger Hansen came off injured, which was a blow, but Chong replaced him on the right, but still the clock ticked down, and nothing was happening in either box. Scotland made tactical tweaks, and I decided to make a few changes of my own. However, the game was still a stalemate. Last seconds of the game, and the Scottish corner was cleared, and the 90 minutes were up, and it was on to extra time. Our previous form of 10 goals in our last two games has dried up, and this stubborn Scottish team was causing us trouble. We struggled to break them down, and when we finally did, we couldn't finish our chances. The second half of extra time began, and it was the same story. On the 112th minute, Scotland created a huge opportunity, but Ryan Christie's shot rebounded off of his own player Shankland for a goal kick. More opportunities were coming, but neither side could capitalise as we fire a shot over the bar of Angus Gunn. Then just as the game ticked over into the 120th minute, a massive chance for Curaçao, saved brilliantly by Angus Gunn again. Even when the corner was swung in and we beat Gunn for dead, the crossbar then saved him. One final chance to break away was wasted by Scotland, and the game goes to a penalty shootout. Shankland is the first taker of the shootout and he steps up, and Room makes a magical save to his right. Bakuna is next for Curaçao and he scores, followed by Christie, who also dispatches well for Scotland. Still with the advantage though, Janga is next and makes no mistake to make it 2-1 to Curaçao. Scotland need to make sure they keep converting, and Scott McKenna does. The next taker for Curaçao is Roberta, who he did upgrade, but not his penalties, and he misses. With the scores level again, we need Room to become a hero, but McCrory finds the net, which means Bakuna has to score, and he does. It's basically sudden death, and it's Scott McTominay, but Room makes the save again, which means Sambo can put Curaçao in the semi-final of the World Cup, and he does. It's over. Our hardest fixture yet, as the Scots kept us quiet all game, but we joined the Netherlands, Algeria and Switzerland in the final four. And we have Switzerland in our semi-final, meaning if we do progress, it could be the Dutch in the final. The day before our semi-final, the Netherlands actually played Algeria, and it was indeed the Dutch who progressed through to another World Cup final as they defeated Algeria 3-1. Another spin at the wheel, and finally we get an upgrade to our defense as we get to buff 1 to 180 current ability. And that man is going to be Tommy St. Jago, who was actually born in the Netherlands but only has 122 current ability. Well, not anymore anyway, as he now sits at 180, and we have not abused the pace, but we have made him very good at penalties just in case. It was the perfect timing, as well as we had a suspension to right wing back Sambo, which means he can slot in there to try and make a difference down the right side, where we've been so deadly this tournament so far. No idea what to expect from the Swiss, however, who seem to be on a fantastic lucky run of their own. It's actually down the right hand side, where we are in fact exploited straight away against Switzerland, as they utilised St. Jago being out of position and managed to get a shot away, which was saved by Room. He made a massive impact on the attack in front though in the 19th minute, as a beautiful cross could not be converted from Roberta's header. Chance after chance was going to waste, and again it was Roberta who was the culprit, while Locadia was resting after taking a knock. It had now felt like a lifetime since we scored a goal outside of the shootout in this World Cup, and in the 40th minute our best chance yet cannoned off the post from Hansen, who 2 games ago would have definitely have scored that. It's half time, and despite having 2 very good chances, it's still 0-0. Second half, and again we start the better team. Within the first couple of minutes, as Roberta is played through, can't get a shot away with the angle, but it's played back to Noslin, who can, and he makes it 1-0. Finally, the deadlock is broken and we put one step into the World Cup final. On the hour mark, I make my usual few changes, but this time we brought on Locadia for Roberta, hoping he can make an instant impact, but Cabell saved what turned out to be an offside shot. A second goal in this game certainly felt inevitable, but it was in fact our Curaçao side who was pushing for it, as St. Jago's shot was then saved again by Cabell. The clock was winding down though, and sure enough, the one goal was enough to send us through to the final. I still don't quite know how we do it. I know we've got a number of world-class players now, but we have still yet to use our lifeline at all. We've got 4 of them. I thought I'd need to use all of them. I haven't used one, and we're in the final. So I've made a decision. We won't get to use any lifelines for the final. It's a straight up one shot at the World Cup trophy against our opponents, the Netherlands. The third place playoff was eventually won by Algeria, who fought well against Switzerland, coming from a goal down twice, with 2 goals from Amora to win 3-2. And with our final spin at the World Cup wheel, we once again land on something new, as we get to upgrade a winger. It's only right that it's Hansen too, who's at a current ability of 120. But now at 180, he actually looks like the superstar world-class winger that he has been performing like for most of the competition so far. Just one more game for Curaçao, as we are only missing our left back Floranas through injury, but the replacement Noslin was the man who scored the winner in the semi-final. And all eyes now turn to the World Cup final. Curaçao versus the Netherlands, who wins their first ever World Cup. In the first 10 minutes, the Dutch played us at our own game, soaking up the pressure and countered us with fast wingers like Frimpong, who dashed the first big chance just wide of our post thankfully. But we did not learn from our early warning, as again the Dutch came down the right hand side, and this time the opportunity found its way into our net off the last touch by St. Jago. We need to get a handle on Frimpong fast, because he is destroying us down our left hand side. A chance to redeem ourselves followed us as we forced the Netherlands into a mistake, and although we couldn't make it pay first, we then get a second bite but failed to find the target again. Right on the stroke of half-time, the Dutch are now looking comfortable, and it's a second goal slotted away beautifully by Gakpo to the keeper's left. At half-time, I need to make a change, and I need to push more guys forward, so I bring on our third buff striker in exchange for a defender to try and overwhelm them up front. It seemed to make a positive impact, as within 3 minutes a cross comes in and Djanga heads home to make it 2-1. An excellent response so soon after a terrible first half, and hopefully that drives confidence into the rest of the lads. Just before the hour mark, and it's a charging run down the right side again. A ball played back low this time, and after a scramble in the box, Bakuna's final touch puts it past Verbruggen. It's so ridiculously scrappy, but we will take that, and it's 2-2 with plenty of time to play in this final. The change seemed to be incredible, as we were playing like a completely different side to what we saw in the first half. And this time, it was the hero of the semi-final who once again popped up in the box to give Curaçao the lead. And all of this within a 15-minute spell of the second half beginning, as the Dutch cannot believe their eyes. Then the confidence grew, and came a sublime fourth by Hansen. A fifth was scored in the 69th minute, but it looked just offside, and after a VAR check, they confirmed that the goal should be disallowed. However, this final ain't over yet. The Dutch have made some system changes of their own, going to a 4-2-3-1 and bringing on Justin Kluivert, who pulls one back, and the game's on at 4-3. I decided to drop a midfielder back and bring on Bazoa to try and counter this change by the Netherlands, but the momentum is with them, and thankfully Kluivert's second goal looked and is indeed offside, and we remain in the lead for now. I want to change things to cautious, but I'm too late. As the changes are being implemented, Dumfries finds Marlon, whose cross finds Kluivert, and it's turned in, and it's 4-4. What will the final few minutes of this final give us? Well, one last opportunity in the 94th minute, where there's only 5 minutes added on, and it's the same danger man again, Justin Kluivert, who crushes all our hopes and dreams, scoring his third goal in the final. And there's simply no chance to bring it back. After taking the worst team in the World Cup all the way to the final, falling 2-0 down to find ourselves 4-2 up, we lost thanks to a hat-trick by Justin Kluivert. And in the most heartbreaking fashion, it's over. I mean, I can't quite believe we managed to get to the final to begin with, but to go 4-2 up in the 65th minute was a dream scenario, and we completely fumbled it. Either way, I thoroughly enjoyed managing Curaçao, and I hope you enjoyed watching it too. Make sure you subscribe, because there's plenty more FIFA World Cup coming your way on this channel using the FM26 new FIFA World Cup mode. So make sure you subscribe. Let me know if you want to see any other challenges as well. On screen right now, though, is a video where me and Dad took over the two relegated sides in the Premier League of Burnley and Wolves for 10 years.